Hey guys, what's up? It's Eli, and I know it's been a while, but I'm coming with another video, and I have a bunch more videos coming, so make sure to stay tuned for those in the upcoming future. But today we are going to be talking about what you should get a photographer for Christmas, or just any photographer in general. If you're struggling for gift ideas or anything, I've got a ton in any price range coming up, and I will have all of the links in the description, everything set up so you can skip around, find what you need. Just trying to help you out if you have someone that wants to get into photography, or someone that's already into photography and you just want to get them something for Christmas, a good gift idea. Well, this is going to be the video for you. Now, just a disclaimer, a lot of these prices might be Black Friday prices, but as we know, they stick around for a little bit longer. So if you're seeing this video now, it'll probably be like this until like Cyber Monday area, but still you can find good deals on these no matter the time, because it is the holiday season. Starting off, we're going to start off with the under $25 category. Now, starting off here, we're going to start off with SD cards. Now, you can get tons of SD cards right now for under $25. You can get a 128 or a 64. I would not recommend getting anything under a 64. It's just not a very good range if you go under 64. 32s and 16s, they're just way too small to be useful. And you also want to look at the read and write speeds. These are basically color coded in a sense. They have names, but if you're not a photographer, you might not be able to tell. You want to go for the gold or the black ones. These are the ones that you want to stick away from if you can. These are the ultras, and these are 16 and 32s. These aren't the most useful things because you can't use them for 4K video. They don't hold a lot of pictures, so it's just not really as much of a usable thing. The ones you want to go for are ones like these, the black and gold ones, the Extreme Plus and the Extreme Pro. Now, these have really good write speeds. You can record 4K, and obviously they have a lot more storage space on them, 4 times as much as the 32. And these will be what you want to get. Again, you can get the 128s for under 25. I think they're for now for $19 or $17, and 64s for I think 15 or 14. 128 is the best range. 256 is the highest I would go. Now, there's obviously 512, 400, a terabyte. I would not recommend going that high. They're expensive, and I just like to have multiple SD cards because sometimes you lose these things, and you don't want to lose a 1 terabyte one, just not because of how expensive it is, but because all of your footage would be on there versus if you have multiple. Now, the next thing I have on there is a GorillaPod or something like it. Right now, you can find these for around $25. Now, I'm pretty sure the normal price is $40 or $30. Not 100% sure, but I know you can find them for cheaper. It doesn't even have to be the Joby brand, but that is what I would recommend if you can get it. But it just is a flexible tripod that is really good for gripping onto things. Now, for me, a lot of the time, I don't even use this for my camera. I use it to attach lights or basically anything else. It's just a super flexible option, and would check if the photographer has one or if who you're buying the gift for has one, because they are extremely common. It's probably one of the first things because it was made popular by vlogging when they would hold it out like this. But if they don't have one, this is really a must-have because of how versatile it is. Again, it's not the best option for just supporting a camera because the legs are flexible, but lights, really anything, I use it the most for lights. It's just such a great all-around equipment. Next up, for under 25, we're going to talk about batteries. Now, this does require you to know what type of camera that they have, but if you know what type of camera they have, with a quick Google search, you can find the battery type. Now, for batteries, there are the native batteries and the non-native batteries. The non-native batteries are ones from like Wasabi Power. There's a ton of different like Chinese and off brands that you can get. Now, these are normally cheaper. I have never had an issue using them. I would personally recommend them because if you get good milliamp hours on them, they're just a better around option. But again, it's a risk that you're taking not using the native batteries, but again, I have never had any issues with them at all, and I've actually seen better battery life with the ones that have higher capacities in them, so I'd go for them. Battery chargers as well, kind of included in this category. Again, can never go wrong with battery chargers. You can always use more. And the last thing I have on this list is just gaff tape. Gaff tape is used a ton in the industry, and it's just really good for taping up anything. You can use it with lights, just taping random stuff to other stuff. It's really just a bunch of versatile, and you go through it pretty quick once you get it, and it's not terribly expensive. I think it's like $20 for a decent sized roll. But again, everyone can use it. And now we're moving on to the under 50 category. Starting this category off, we are going with memory card cases. To go with your memory cards, you want to keep them in a safe spot. Now there are tons of different options, a bunch even under 25. Tiffin has some good ones. I personally love the Polar Pro one. Just try to get a durable one that holds SD cards. If they have a more expensive camera, you might want to look into CF Express options, but most of the time the regular SD card will do. It just organizes all the SD cards in here, keeps them in a nice place so they don't go flying everywhere, because they are really easy to lose. I have 4 laying on the ground right now from throwing earlier, but again, just a great overall thing to have if they don't have one. I'm surprised how many people actually don't use SD card cases. And back to the battery whole thing. This is the native batteries for Sony MPF-W50s. Again, you can get them if you want, but I'd prefer the other ones. But if you want to stay safe, you can go with these. These are generally a lot more expensive. You can normally get 3 batteries for the price of 1, just depending on where you get them. But again, these are the most reliable, and they're just native. The next thing we're going to be talking about is filters. Now these can range all the way through all the price ranges, but the cheapest ones are normally around $50. Now the brands I would recommend for this are K&F Concept and Tiffin. Really the 2 best brands that are in this price range. Polar Pro is another really good one that you get, and there's some other brands that are higher quality. But for this price range, Tiffin and K&F Concept are the 2 brands I would most recommend. ND4s, ND8s, ND16s, all the way up to like an ND64 would be usable. Circular polarizers now. Variable ND filters are a little bit more expensive, but if you want to get them, I would recommend getting them in an 82 or a 72 millimeter filter thread, if you do not know what lens that they have. Now, if you do know what lens, just Google search and you will be able to see what lens they have, and you can go ahead and pick up whichever filter size that is. But if you get an 82 millimeter filter thread one or a 72, it is very common to get step-up rings, which is the next thing I will be talking about. Step-up rings allow you to step up from any lower filter size to a larger filter size, which basically allows you, if you had a 49 millimeter filter thread, to step all the way up to an 82 millimeter filter thread. Now, it's a little bit harder when you step down, because some lenses will actually capture the step-up ring and give you a weird vignette. But again, filters, they're a great thing to have. Everyone needs them. If you don't have them, pick some up. Another thing is drone filters, same concept. They're just NDs, but for a drone, if they have a drone, this is a really good thing, almost a must-have for a drone. So make sure to try and figure out if they have them, but if they don't, pick them up. That is a very important thing. They will love you for it. I have a ton down there that I can grab, and they're almost essential when you're flying in the sky. The next 2 things I'm going to be talking about are from Peak Design. Peak Design is generally a more expensive brand, but 2 things that are cheap that I really love from them are their slide strap and their leash strap, also their clip. Now, their straps, they're just great, high quality straps. It's really nice to have a strap that you can just detach off and detach on so easily, instead of having to go through those loops on the side of your camera. Their anchors are just great, and I love them. I would really recommend you pick one up if they don't have one, or even if they have a strap, just pick one up. They will thank you for it. It is just really nice. It's one of those things that you don't realize how nice it is until you actually have it. Now, the clip is almost an essential thing I would consider at this point. The amount of times I have used this thing, and I just love it every time I use it. It straps onto your backpack about here, and you can slide your camera into it, so it's just carrying on the outside, so you don't have to put it all the way back into your bag, and it's just right here, and you don't have to carry it in your hand. You can just grab it, slide out, take a couple pictures, put it right back in, and it's built amazing. It's a little bit expensive for what it is, but again, it's built perfectly. Pretty sure they have a warranty on it. I know it's also on sale right now. I think it's 15 or 10% off. So if you're looking for one, go pick it up. And the last thing I have for the under $50 is these extension tubes. Now, what these are is they're basically little tubes. I have a 10mm one and a 16mm one here. And these are metal ones from Makey. And I actually really enjoy these things. These things allow you to get really good macro shots without having a macro lens, because it allows your focusing distance to be much closer, because it's separating your camera lens from the actual sensor even more. Now, you can get some weird warping, and it does not work on ultra wide lenses, but it does work on almost any other lens. If you have any like zoom, it'll work great on that. And they're just great to have because it's a really nice budget way, instead of spending $500 on a new macro lens, just to go out and get some $40 extension tubes, and you can get almost the entire result, especially if you have a really good lens. And now we're moving on to the under 100 category. Now for this, we are starting it off with light stands / C stands. Now everyone can use more of these. You can never have enough unless you have around 10, but these are what they are called, light stands. I have one right here, and one right here. Now that is just 3. If I had another, I'd probably have my mic boomed right overhead, which I don't, but they're just so useful. You can use them in so many ways, hanging up backgrounds, using it on lights, using it on microphones. You can use them for so many things, and you can really never have enough. They're generally like $70 to $150 for a good one, and again, you can never go wrong with it. And while we're on the topic of lights, we're going to be talking about the Aperture MC light. I love this light. It is a tiny compact light set up right there, and it just is RGB. It's got all the whites, it's got everything, and it's probably the most versatile light I can think of. It can be used in so many ways, just coloring scenes like I have behind me. It can be used as a hair light. It can be used as just so many things. Tiny little light, you can throw it anywhere you want, and it's got really good battery life, which is one of the things that surprised me, and it also charges very quickly. And on the topic of lights, there's also the Lume Cube, which is a really durable light. I've never used it before, but I've heard really good things about it, and that's, I think, either $100 or $75. Or they also have their smaller panel that goes on top of the camera. I know that is a very well built panel as well. It's not RGB like the MC is, but again, it's just a nice light. Lights you can never go wrong with them. The next thing I have on here is actually a neat Peak design thing. It is called the Tech Pouch, and it is a little pouch that you can throw in your bag, and it organizes stuff for you. It's just a nice little, very well built pouch that has a ton of different pockets, and you can slide stuff in and out, and it just fits really nicely into my bag, which is the Peak design bag. It's just overall a great place to organize all of your stuff that is smaller. I put my memory card case in there. I've got cables, I've got extra batteries, everything just fits really nicely in there. And it's not even just for camera gear, for traveling as well. You can put a bunch of different stuff in there just to organize all the little smaller things instead of like having them in one big pocket all like jumbled together. It's just kind of a pouch that organizes it all for you. Now the next thing we're going to be talking about is cages. These range in price everywhere. There's 2 main brands I'd recommend, Small Rig and Tilta. Small Rig is going to be a bit cheaper, but Tilta has just got a nice touch with the gray and blue. I really like that combination that they have there. And these are going to be able to make your camera much more versatile, giving you many different mounting options for a bunch of different things. Like I said, these range all the way from like $25 all the way up to like $300. The majority of them do range between that $50 and $100 range, and just search up the camera, search up cage, and it'll come up, and it's just a metal outline with a bunch of different holes for quarter 20s and different 3/4 mounts, and it's just got everything. You can also get like top handles, and it basically helps you to rig out your camera to make it more versatile and fit your needs better. Next thing I have for the under 100 range is just a travel tripod, like the Manfrotto travel tripod. This comes in at 70 bucks. It's just a great option for a travel tripod if you have a big and bulky one, or if you don't have one at all, it's a great starter one. It's got a decent head on it, but it's really just anything Manfrotto's built well, and it's just a nice thing to have when you're traveling, to have a smaller tripod. You don't always need the big 3-stage tripods that give us the best support. And the last two things I have on here are external hard drives, up to 4 terabytes you can find for under 100 bucks, and microphones. Now, if they already have one, that is great. Do not worry about this, but if they're just starting off, there's the Deity D4, there's the Video Micro from Rode, and the Deity D3, not the D3 Pro. All of those are great, solid options I would recommend under the $100 mark. And if you're looking for a microphone to get started, that is a great place to start. And back to talking about the external hard drives, these are always, again, great to have. You can never go wrong with more storage. For a photographer, they will love it. It's just more storage, more files that they can put on there, and it's just, again, a great option. Now we are going on to the under 250 range. Again, this is getting to a bigger range, but starting off, we are going to go with a new camera bag. Now, camera bags, they range in a ton of different prices, and most likely when you get your first camera bag, it won't be a great one. It'll be one that works, but it's just not gonna have that really nice feeling or that extra padding. So I would recommend, there's a ton of good ones out there. I personally have the Peak Design one and love it. There's also a new one from, it's on the screen right now. That one, it is a great one. I've seen tons of reviews about it. It's basically a similar one to the Peter McKinnon bag, which is a bit out of the price range, a bit too crazy, but these are just great bags. They have lots of different storage. I like the metal latch on the Peak Design one. And again, new bags, I mean, they're always just nice things to have. You can never have enough bags. I mean, the next thing is a gimbal. Now, again, a lot of these things are, if they already have it, just stay away from it. But if they don't, it is a great thing to have. Gimbals, they stabilize your footage. I personally have the Ronin SC, and it is a great gimbal. I don't really need anything more, so I'd recommend that. Or the Zhiyun Crane 2, or the Weeble, or just, there's a ton of different options. I'll have them listed on the screen right here. And they're just all great options. Gimbals really help to create that cinematic look when you're trying to get a smooth shot. It's just a really handy thing to have. It's a great tool, great thing to have. And if they don't have one, it's a great thing to pick up, normally around the 150 to 300 mark. Now coming up, we have Pelican cases. Now these don't have to just be Pelican. There's a couple other brands, but Pelican is just the most renowned for it, and that is their like hard travel carry-on cases. They are tough, they are built like tanks, and they just keep your gear safe, waterproof. If you're traveling with camera gear, they're just, it's almost a necessity to have if you're not carrying it on with you. They are built so tough, they're built for everything, and they're just, you know, a really nice thing to have to know your gear is safe. The next thing is an external SSD. Now these are more expensive than external hard drives, but they give you faster footage, especially if you're trying to offload video or edit on it. It's just almost the most important thing is to have a fast SSD to edit on, because editing can be so bad when you are not editing on one. So if they don't have one, or if they already have one, go ahead, pick one up for them. And speaking of editing, the Lightroom and Photoshop bundle. Now this is coming in, I'm pretty sure, at the $200 mark or $120. One of those two, honestly have no clue. But it is just a 12-month subscription. They are not going to complain about this. Everyone needs Lightroom. It's a pain to pay for. It's stupidly expensive. And it's just, you know, wrapping up this category, I have a 4K camera monitor. Again, if they don't have one, it's just a really nice thing to have to see yourself if they don't have a flip out screen. And even if they do, the screens on most cameras are not that good. It is almost essential to be able to see what you're doing. And a bunch of them also have a lot of extra neat features that can really just help to bring out the quality, like focus peaking if your camera doesn't have it. I know that's very common on cameras nowadays, but a bunch of them have different settings, external recording on some of them, just a bunch of different features. I'll have a couple listed down in the description that you can look at. Again, it's just a 7 or 5 inch monitor that goes on top of your camera to replace that small screen. And the last category is just anything else that is above that price range. The cheapest thing I have up here is GoPros. GoPros are amazing. They are just such a unique tool. They also have the DJI Osmo, the second one that is also a viable option. Really neat tool. They just get such cool shots, and if they don't have one, or even if they have one, just such a great tool to be able to get shots of action shots or dirty shots, water shots. There's so many different possibilities with a GoPro, and you can also throw in some accessories too. There's just so many things you can do with a GoPro. And the second to last thing on this list we have is a drone. I have like the DJI Mavic Mini, the Mavic Mini 2, the Mavic Air. Those are great budget options. And then once you're getting play around more expensive, and every time I fly Air mine, 2 and the Air 2S, again, compared to some options, who's upgrading from a more expensive camera, you get a really awesome look. But there are so many. Flying from the sky, something that cannot be achieved in any other way. So if that is something that they do not have, it's such a fun tool to use in addition to the shots that it gives you. It's such a fun toy to play around with, and every time I fly mine, I just get joy from it. And lastly is just new lenses or a new body. Again, you can never hurt someone by upgrading it. This is any price range. If you have a small non-interchangeable lens camera, it's not that expensive an upgrade compared to someone who's upgrading from a more expensive camera. But again, I don't know your budgets, but there are so many different things out there. Just look for the next camera up if you're on this. Again, if you're looking for some entry-level ones, there's the A60-100. That's a great option. There's the M50, ZV-E10, and the Nikon Z5, A7 III or A7 IV, and the R6. Again, those are all just basic things I just threw out there. Any of those cameras are great options, and I will have some listed down below of my recommendations. But if you'd like to see a video on that, just let me know. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope this helped. If you have any questions or need help picking out any gifts for any photographer or even just anyone in general, make sure to leave them down below in the comments. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.